Because of the way that slavery developed politically, it changes the culture. You start to have African Americans appear in our photographs. We have the portrait of Gordon, no other name known, the slave who was in Louisiana during the Civil War, and he escapes from captivity and crosses to Union lines and wants to enlist in the Union Army, a very controversial position, whether African Americans would be permitted to fight for their own freedom. There's a radical general, radical Republican running the Union Army, and he says, okay, we'll take him in. And they give him a physical, they take off his shirt, and his back, as you see in this gruesome image, is just simply a mass of welts. He has been whipped on the plantation, and it has created literally lines in his flesh which have bled, and then they have scarred over to cover up these horrific whip wounds on his back. And they take a picture of it, which we have. We underestimate the power of the image. We're saturated by images now, and we become jaded by it. We see so many images, from the evening news to music videos to films, that we begin to forget about the ways in which images are powerful. In 1862, photography was brand new. It was still very much a private act where you would have your family's picture or your picture taken, and the rich and the famous and the celebrities would have their portrait taken. But it was pretty much, again, the same conventions, the same pattern as the oil painting. It would be a handsome man or woman sitting in front of a camera taking a picture in their finery, or, you know, if you played the violin, you would have the violin in the picture with you. But the Gordon is different, because the Gordon gets us into the area of documentary photography. Gordon didn't go to a studio to have his portrait taken by Matthew Brady and then put it on his mantle. Gordon becomes, in a sense, evidence. You'll notice the peculiar pose in a way. It's almost the pose that you frequently will see in fashion magazines with beautiful women, where they will be with your back to you, and then they will be looking over their shoulder in the kind of come hither pose. And Gordon, ironically, adopts that pose because we have to see that it's Gordon. This happened to a particular man at a particular time and in a particular place, and he has to be identified. And that's the main function of portraiture. It identifies an individual as a specific person. This becomes effectively a propaganda instrument. There were no photographs in newspapers then. So it was then reconverted to the older technology of the woodcut and created into a newspaper print in Harper's Weekly, which you see here. It then goes out to thousands of readers across the world who look at Gordon's back. It nails down the absolute horror of the slave institution, that this happened to this man, and we now bear witness to it.